Welcome to this session, Developing Literacy Workstations Utilizing District Technology. I'm Robin Dixon, Pre-K through 5th grade ELA Social Studies Consulting Teacher, and I will be your presenter for this session. Let's begin by looking at our learning intention and success criteria for this session. First of all, our learning intentions is as follows. We are learning to develop literacy workstations using district technology so that we can create customizable and meaningful literacy workstations. You will be successful when you can list the district technologies that can be used with literacy workstations and develop ideas for using district technology for literacy workstations in your classroom. So take a moment to pause the video and think about where you fall on this continuum. Are you the sad face? Technology keeps my students busy during workstations but doesn't connect to what I am teaching. Or are you all the way on the other side of the continuum? I've got it all figured out. I effectively use technology for workstations. And maybe you're somewhere in the middle, and that's okay. Hopefully this session will help you to develop your knowledge and that at the end you're able to apply new technologies to make your literacy workstations extremely meaningful. So why do we want to integrate technology? Well, first of all, it helps to create individualization for student learning. It also provides for data for continual student growth, as many of our district technology platforms will provide feedback and data that you can use to drive student instruction in small groups and in whole group as well. And it also gives you prepared, ready-to-go materials to use without a lot of extra time and plan and prep. And during this presentation, I want you to consider your why, and we'll revisit that at the end of the presentation. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to integrate technology? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are going to use our district technology platforms that you see on the screen. Now, please remember that Footsteps to Brilliance is for pre-K through 2. Newsela we primarily use starting at 3rd grade all the way up. Moby Max can be for any student, as well as Discovery Education. And NoRedInk is for our 4th grade and 5th grade students. Flipgrid, Jamboard, and Edpuzzle can be used as well at any grade level. When we think about using district technology, we want to think about the SAMR model. And on the SAMR model, we have 4 levels. So we want to think about, are we using technology as a substitution for instruction? Are we using it as a substitute, but it's better? Are we using it to augment or add to what we're teaching in the classroom? And then notice the top 2 levels, modification and redefinition, is where we are using technology to really transform and change the way that we're teaching. A friendly reminder on our non-negotiables for literacy workstations. Number 1, we want to be focused on practice and purpose. So think about purposeful practice. We want it to be linked to what you're teaching in the classroom. We want it to be a balance of product and process. It also needs to be differentiated. We need to meet students at their levels where they need assistance. Also, keep your materials to a minimum. Simplify wherever you can. And finally, think about how you can use novelty. If you're going to try something new in literacy workstations, remember, start slow and build. Try one new item or one new thing at a time, and when students are proficient, build to the next one. And also a reminder on the traits of effective literacy workstations. And remember, one of the things that's important with a literacy workstation is that it is something that students can complete individually and be successful. In our literacy workstations, we do not want to put brand new content. It is material that they are practicing and have previously been taught. We also want literacy stations to be motivating and engaging for students. We want them to do the practice. They also have a consistent structure throughout the year. So think about if you are using a Word workstation. A Word workstation is something that you would use all year, and you would vary what the task might be within that workstation. They're also aligned to the curriculum. Think about your curriculum design maps, your learning, your competencies rather, and also your state standards. Also, they are based on ongoing assessment. So our centers need to change as we are assessing students to determine, do they need more practice? Do they have it? Or do they need enrichment? They also have a built-in accountability system. You might be asking, where do I find information if I don't know how to use those platforms? And I don't know how to use Flipgrid, and I'm not sure how to use other technologies that the district has purchased. Well, where can you find trainings? You can find trainings right here. You can find them at the TPS Instructional Technology portion of the website. If you go to the website and search for instructional technology, you'll find everything you need to learn about the various programs. When you go to the Topeka Public Schools Instructional Technology website, you'll get to a place that looks just like this. And if I click on Elementary Expected Technology Integration, it's going to take you to a list of the materials and the resources. So if I come here and I wanted to learn about Footsteps to Brilliance, I can come over here and I can find information as well as instructional videos so that you can learn more about any district technology. So I can come back here and I can look at Seesaw, Newsela, MobyMax, all of our district technologies. And again, it'll give us some information about the program and videos for teachers who are at all different levels of the training process. Videos for beginners all the way to advanced users. I highly encourage you to check out this technology page and develop and really hone your skills with the district technology platforms. When you're creating a workstation, what are some of the considerations that you need to think about? Well, number one, are you using the SAMR model, and how is technology going to be used to enhance your teaching in the classroom? How will technology help you differentiate to meet the variety of student needs in your classroom? Remember that on almost any of the district technologies, if not all of them, you can differentiate so that you can meet each and every student where he or she is. What competencies and standards will the technology help you to teach and address? And why is technology a better way or a stronger way rather than a paper and pencil task? If we're using technology, we want to be meaningful in its use. We're going to take a minute now to look at some of our district technologies and how we can implement these technologies in our literacy workstations. So if you're a Footsteps to Brilliance user in pre-K through 3, perhaps you can assign individual skills practice to students in areas of phonology, phonemic awareness, and decoding. In Footsteps to Brilliance, there's also level text selection, so you can assign text based on students' reading levels. You can also create assignments to align to CR success skills in grades pre-K through 2. So if you're teaching vowel teams, for example, go into Footsteps to Brilliance and find those assignments about vowel teams and assign them to your class. In Footsteps to Brilliance, students can also create books and stories. What a great use of a literacy workstation to embed writing instruction. Newsela is another district technology that we have in Topeka Public Schools. So here's some ideas for Newsela. First of all, you can assign articles at various Lexiles to groups of students. So you could assign the same article to students based on their given reading levels. So it's a great way to have students work on a consistent topic, but yet vary the reading material to meet students' needs. You can also find paired text to align with content area reading or guided reading or shared reading. For example, if you're studying communities and social studies, find an article that links to types of communities. It's a great way to extend and enrich what you're teaching in core content. You can also have students use the annotation tool and annotate things such as main idea and text evidence, and also concrete and inferential context clues for determining a word's meaning as it's used in the text. Newsela is amazing for lots of articles that are opinion-based and pros and cons. It's a great way to embed that text type into instruction. So perhaps students, you assign an opinion article. Students could identify the author's stance. They could also write if they disagree with the author and why. You can also link the article in Seesaw and have students compose written answers to questions in Seesaw. So it's an easy way to embed into Seesaw. You can also create groups of students to read the same article at different Lexiles. Take a moment to pause the video, and I want you to consider what's a new idea that you have for use in your classroom. And how might you use Footsteps to Brilliance or Newsela in your classroom literacy stations? So take a moment to pause the video, reflect on how you could use those key resources in your classroom, and when you're ready, hit start and proceed to the next part of the presentation. MobyMax is another resource that we have in our district. So when you're looking at MobyMax, some things to think about again is that you can assign skills to individual students or groups of students. So what a great way to assign phonics practice, for example, to students needing additional practice in a given phonics skill. You can also give assignments above or below grade level. Perhaps a student is showing you that they're able to comprehend a grade level above, or they need additional enrichment above in social studies or science. Great way to differentiate and apply higher level reading texts to your students or group of students. It's important to know that there's also a placement test that students can take at the beginning, and it helps to individualize student instruction, and students can work on that individualized path that has been created for them in the program. So that way you can individualize to every student in your classroom. There's also great social studies and science connections. So again, what a great way to enhance and support what you're teaching in the core for social studies and science. And we know that students, as they get older, will read a lot of content area reading. So this is a great way to give students practice in reading short passages related to content. We're also fortunate enough to have Discovery Education. So let's look at how you can use Discovery Education in your classroom. You could have students create studio boards for any topic, and students could work on those in their literacy workstations. So perhaps students are studying famous Kansans. You could have them research and create a studio board on their favorite Kansans. So think about social studies topics and science topics. Also, maybe it's a topic of interest and students are doing some personalized learning and project-based learning. Great way to include a studio board for that. You can also create assignments from the My Content section to students or classes. So going to My Content, and thinking about what you're going to assign to individual or groups of students. They also have quizzes, and you can create a video and take a video and create a quiz aligned to it. And you can also assign videos and create your own assignments. So if you're ready to take that deeper dive and you want to go beyond what Discovery Ed has provided for you, you can create your own assignments. No red ink. Now, no red ink is for our 4th and 5th grade students. It can also be moved down to 3rd grade for some skills. You can, in Newsela, create individualized group or class grammar assignments. You can search the Kansas standards and it will bring up the standards for your grade level, and you can assign grammar practice from there. You can also create standards-based writing assignments as well by searching the standards, and this works for grammar as well. You can also assign quick writes or use the guided draft feature. And imagine if your students had a literacy workstation in 4th and 5th grade and you were having them write about what they learned about the story today, or you're asking them to do something with persuasive writing and defend their stance. How powerful would that be? And you can also create writing assignments that are related and extend to what you're teaching in guided reading. And there's a whole section devoted to quizzes and practice. So again, a great way to practice those grammar skills that students need to know for the state assessment, and that the state has told us, remember, the state has told us the grammar skills that we need to be teaching. So as we look at these district platforms, think about how you would use those in your classroom. So what is an idea you have so far? And how might you use No Red Ink or Discovery Education in your literacy stations? So take a moment to pause the video, and when you're ready, start the video and proceed to the next set of district technologies that we'll talk about. I hope you had some great ideas from those sections. So let's move on to Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a way to make videos, and you can set the amount of time that a video will last. It's a great way to have students think and respond without using a written format. So students can create a short video summary of the guided reading book or independent reading book that they're reading. They could also record questions or aha moments from their reading. They can do oral reading fluency practice, and you can listen to that. You could also have students do book talks. Think about the power of using Flipgrid in your stations. A great way to assess knowledge, taking out that written piece. We know that some students struggle with writing, and being able to record and respond orally is a great alternative for many of our students. And this will help us also to assess skills in a way that is beyond just writing an answer. Jamboard. I don't know how many of you have used Jamboard. I'm seeing it more and more frequently. But what's amazing about Jamboard is you could have your entire class on a Jamboard. You could create a slide for each student and they could all be responding at the same time. So perhaps you give students vocabulary words and you want them to write a definition and draw a picture to go with the word. You could assign this for literacy workstations and they could go to Jamboard and hop on. You could have students record their favorite part of a book or story on a Jamboard. And how neat would it be to have all students compare their favorite parts of a book that you did in class? You've done a read aloud and students may all have different favorite parts and why. That's great for students to learn from one another. You could also ask student questions and student responses on Jamboard. You could give them a plot chart and students could take and put different story elements on a plot map. The ideas are endless. And another technology is Edpuzzle. And Edpuzzle is something that you can do and that you can assign to individual students or small groups. And again, they have skill-based Edpuzzles that you can assign. A great way to incorporate content area reading practice. You can also use Edpuzzles to extend for extension and enrichment, as well as remediation. As we looked at our last set of district technologies, I want you to ponder again, what is an idea you have so far? And how might you use Flipgrid, Jamboard, or Edpuzzle in your classroom literacy workstations? Pause the video, write down your ideas, and when you're ready, hit that start button again. At the beginning of the presentation, we talked about the why, about why do we want to integrate technology into our literacy workstations. And I asked you to think about what is your why. So I want you to take a moment to pause the video and think about why. Why would you use district technology, and what is your goal for that? And once you have your why, I would like you to pause the video, think about that why, and then proceed to the next slide. Let's take a moment to determine if our learning intentions and success criteria for this session were met. We talked about that the point of this presentation was to use district technology to create customizable and meaningful literacy workstations. Do you feel that that was met during this session? You will be successful when you can list the district technologies that can be used with literacy workstations. Are you able to list those? And are you able to develop ideas for using district technology for literacy workstations in your classroom? If you have, then your learning intention and success criteria for this session have been met. It has been a pleasure to walk you through how you can use district technology to create literacy workstations. Should you have any further questions or concerns or want to speak further, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I would love to meet with you. Again, thank you for watching this presentation, and I hope that you were able to learn how to implement district technology in your literacy workstations.